Oh, hi, my name is Maddie Yap and I'm from the 4-H Club, the Rainbow Riders, and I'm going to teach you guys how to fit a saddle to your horse. So first up, this is a saddle that I might be using, or buy. So the first thing that I always check when I put on a saddle is, does the flaps go up too far? And these ones don't, so they're fine. The next thing I look for is this part of the saddle, is the middle of the saddle parallel to the ground, and it is, so that's good. And then the next part, which it looks like this saddle does not fit, is this. You want to be as even as possible, and it doesn't really look that way. It looks like it needs to be shifted down a little bit, or this part up and the cantle down. It also looks like there's a lot of air back here, so that might be able to be fixed with a bump pad or a riser pad, just depending. They have different ones for lifting the front and lifting the back, so depending on what you need is there too. Another thing that I look at is if you go to the front of the horse and you look at the saddle from the outside, it should be touching the horse evenly. And as you can see, it's not touching the horse evenly, and it even looks as if there's a lot of space between the horse. Like, I can fit like my hands in here. That's not good. That definitely needs to be tighter. So this saddle's probably not gonna work. But gullet, wise, this is pretty good. You want to put like 3 or 4 fingers in there, and I can, so that's good. But overall, this saddle looks to be a little too big here, and it definitely needs to be, the pommel needs to go up. So this saddle would definitely not work for my horse, but it definitely could work for another horse. So I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to put my saddle on. And just when you're putting a new saddle on and off for the first couple times, just make sure that you watch your horse's ears and make sure that they're not getting too sensitive, or that they're really not liking it. Okay, so this saddle looks much better than the other one. As you can see, it's definitely touching the back here. There's no air in between, which is good, which means it's not going to rock. The other one, when I kind of pushed down, it kind of went up. This one's not going to do that. It's going to stay nice and center. The gullet of this one, you can fit 3 or 4 fingers, definitely, and that works perfectly. And then I'm going to go to the front with the other one. Now, as you can see, this one is definitely not even. It sort of looks like the other one. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't look too bad, but it still bows out at the end, and it's definitely uneven on the sides, but it's not as loose as that other saddle was up here, so that's fine. And once I get my leg on there, it's probably gonna close like that, but it is enough where I would think that maybe I need to start thinking about getting a new saddle or trying to fix this somehow. You should check your saddle probably 2 to 3 times a year, just because your horse loses muscle mass, loses weight, and gains weight, gains muscle mass. So you really just want to make sure that the saddle's fitting so you don't have any issues, because obviously they want to do what you tell them to do, but sometimes it might not be possible with the incorrect saddle. And then also, I didn't mention this before, but always put your saddle on when you're sizing the saddle. Always put it on without a saddle pad, without anything, just the saddle, just to make sure it fits. And then another thing that I do is you go to the back of the horse very carefully, and you're going to want to make sure that you can see air all the way through the saddle. If you can't see air all the way through the saddle, then this saddle is definitely not going to work for you. But as you can see, this one does, so that's good. It's not as loose as that other saddle was up here, so that's fine. And once I get my leg on there, it's probably gonna close like that. But it is enough where I would think that maybe I need to start thinking about getting a new saddle or trying to fix this somehow. You should check your saddle probably 2 to 3 times a year, just because your horse loses muscle mass, loses weight, and gains weight, gains muscle mass. So you really just want to make sure that the saddle's fitting so you don't have any issues, because obviously they want to do what you tell them to do, but sometimes it might not be possible with the incorrect saddle. And then also, I didn't mention this before, but always put your saddle on when you're sizing the saddle. Always put it on without a saddle pad, without anything, just the saddle, just to make sure it fits. And then another thing that I do is you go to the back of the horse very carefully, and you're going to want to make sure that you can see air all the way through the saddle. If you can't see air all the way through the saddle, then this saddle is definitely not going to work for you. But as you can see, this one does, so that's good. Okay, so now I'm gonna get the saddle pad and the girth, and I'm gonna get on, and I'm gonna show you guys how the saddle fits me and the characteristics of this saddle. Okay, so the pressure points of the saddle that you wanna look out for when you're sizing your saddle is the front here, to make sure it's not too tight, and the back here. If you're nice and balanced in the saddle, there should be equal pressure, and not one should be too heavy, not one should be too light. And you don't want them to be too tight, because if they are too tight, then they'll pinch, and that'll make the horse very uncomfortable, and most likely want to, if it's tight back here in this area, this is what I like to call the buck area. If your saddle gets too long or your pressure's too tight back here, they're more likely to buck. So that's it for pressure points. Okay, so it's really important that you make sure that your saddle is correctly fitted to you, because if it's not, if it's too big, you're going to look sloppy. If it's too small, you're going to be landing on the back of the saddle. And if it doesn't fit your leg can be over like this, it can be back far, and you really want it snug so you can get that nice line, the heel, hip, shoulder, ear. And you really want to make sure that you get that so you have good equitation, and that comes with a good saddle. Fits me properly. So first is the seat. As you can tell, it's nice and snug, but I can fit a hand in there. And it's also nice and roomy, so that when I'm posting, I'm not coming down right there. I have space to land. Another thing is I have a good, nice knee roll, which is used in like jumper saddles and all-purpose saddles. A nice knee roll to keep your leg in place. And then your stirrups, I put them at my ankles for jumping, but for cross-country, I might put them up a hole. For pleasure, I might put them down a hole. And for dressage, I don't use this saddle for dressage, but if I were to, I'd probably put it down 3 holes. So yes, that's how the saddle fits me. And then the characteristics of this saddle, which is an all-purpose saddle, I mostly use it for jumping. So I really like it because it has really nice big knee roll, and it has, which the hunter and the dressage will have more of a straight knee roll, not so much this big one to keep your leg in place. Another thing is the seat is deeper. Hunter saddles will be more straight, so will saddle seat saddles and other saddles like that. So I really like how it's nice and deep to keep my button the saddle. And yeah, that's about it. So thanks for watching.